See what let's see what kind of story plays out from the what's it, cohabitation.
People celebrated a meal together with their dead in the Roman catacombs. I'm not talking about Christians, I'm talking about pagans. The spirit, as it were, of the person who had died hovered near the place where they were buried. And so you could actually eat with them. You could even pour a small libation of the wine, and they would, as it were, be part of the picnic.
The catacomb churches, far from being placed.
The catacomb churches. All right, now let's look at this here. Now, what the professor just stated here was that the people that dwelled in the catacombs here.
Christian time.
Okay, the people that dwelled in the catacombs that cohabitated with the pagan Romans. The pagans had a ritual, and this ritual was to hold some festive period with the dead. Is that, am I understanding that correctly? I find it very interesting because when I consult the Encyclopedia Britannica and I research this festive period that they call All Souls Day, and it reads, All Souls Day, the day set apart in the Roman Catholic Church for the commemoration of the faithful departed. Very much what you see taking place in the catacombs of Rome, but amongst the so-called pagans.
Yes.
The celebration is based on the doctrine that the souls of the faithful which at death have not been cleansed from venial sins or have not atoned for past transgressions cannot attain the beatific vision, and that they may be helped to do so by prayer and by the sacrifice of the Mass. Certain popular beliefs connected with All Souls Day are of pagan origin and immemorial antiquity. Thus, the dead are believed by the peasantry of many Catholic countries to return to their former homes on All Souls Night and partake of the food of the living. Volume 1, page 709. So let's go back and repeat this here.
So he made a misstatement in here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is a Christian custom today, exactly what's taking place in the catacombs of Rome.
In fact, the underground tombs were the traditional place of burial for Roman pagans.
People celebrated a meal together with their dead in the Roman catacombs. I'm not talking about Christians, I'm talking about pagans. The spirit, as it were, of the person who had died hovered near the place where they were buried. And so you could actually eat with them. You could even pour a small libation of the wine, and they would, as it were, be part of the picnic.
Yeah, that's right.
The catacomb churches, far from being places of refuge, are actually an attempt to integrate Roman customs into the evolving forms of Christian worship.
Ozzie Davis just said it. Ozzie Davis just said it. What
is that marriage again of that pagan tradition into the Christian philosophy?
They adopted pagan traditions in the so-called Christian theology.
Tradition, yes, they did.
Hold on. Should we be concerned about this, Elder?
Absolutely, because it exists today.
Places of refuge are actually an attempt to integrate Roman customs into the evolving forms of Christian worship. As Christian practices become more Roman in style, the persecutions begin to diminish. The new religion grows.
Okay. So, Elder, help me understand this piece here. What I just heard was, as they began to adopt Roman paganism into Christian theology, then the persecutions began to cease.
Yes.
Why?
Because the people there had stopped fighting for their tradition, their Christian tradition. We saw that way back in the tradition in last week's program, where the Christians took on the tradition,
Right.
As a result of having lost the war.
Right. That's
You
right.
know, in those holy wars.
Yeah.
And so we see here again that people are actually being forced into taking on the traditions of these pagan rituals.
So in the days of antiquity, these paganistic practices were forced upon them. Many were forced into this paganistic culture, and then you had those that adopted this paganistic. They adopted this paganistic culture. The church in particular adopted paganistic practices in order to convert many of the pagans that were still holding true to these various religious precepts. Okay, all right. Okay, everything that we see today in this
Yet,
religion.
as the faith evolves and changes, factions within Christianity begin to challenge each other.
And so whenever you base now your religion upon a lie, it becomes subjective, because you have no ground to stand upon. And that's what's very unique about our culture. You know, the word of the Most High is the authority.
That's the authority.
You know, and it is universal. Everyone has it in their home, but not everyone submits to it. And as a result of people not submitting to the oracles of the Most High, you now have various sects that form. You now have various, fascist groups that form, because they're all trying to promote a theology that's based upon a tradition. And we know that a tradition that we're speaking of are fables and lies.
Over 20,000 different religious denomination organizations.
Just under the Christian umbrella.
Under Christian and yet there's supposed to be one Lord, one baptism.
That's right. That's right. That's right. All right.
Each insisting on its own orthodoxy. As the danger of Roman persecution begins to fade, the equally severe danger of factionalism threatens to tear apart the Christian religion. It is the eve of what will be the greatest battle of his life.
Let's go into the next
The fight for
paganistic
control
practice.
of the empire. It is precisely at this point that the would-be emperor has a vision. It is an apparition that will change Constantine's life and the life of all Europe for the next 1700 years. Looking up in the sky, Constantine sees the sign of the cross on the face of the sun. Up until this time, Constantine has been a traditional pagan, worshiping the gods of Rome. Now he's confronted with the miraculous symbol of the forbidden Christian religion. At the same time, he hears an awesome voice announce his destiny.
And then he hears the voice say to him, "You are to conquer in this sign." And so he realizes that it's through Christ that he's going to win this battle. The battle is completely successful. They beat the opponent. He is established as the sole emperor of the western part of the empire. And ever after that, he's a Christian.
And so it was that the tiny sect of a Jerusalem rebel conquers the Roman Empire. The conversion of Constantine is one of the most important turning points in Christian history. Constantine immediately rewards his newly embraced religion by issuing the Edict of Milan, declaring official tolerance for Christianity throughout the empire. The Roman persecutions are over forever. In 323 AD, Constantine marches against the Eastern Augustus, the pagan Licinius, and defeats him after 2 years of war. Constantine is now the sole ruler of both East and West. ceremonies to celebrate the reunification of the